Welcome to Budget Games, where I recommend games that are $20 or less. I'm your host, Estu, and on this episode, we're reviewing Flat Heroes. Flat Heroes is a minimalistic 2D platforming video game with over 100 levels. It was developed and published by Parallel Circles, a two-man studio, as their first game after departing TT Games. The price is $9.99 on PS4, Steam, and Nintendo Switch, and I purchased it at $1.99 on the Nintendo Switch eShop, the sale that is still going on today. The game has a demo available as well, so if you're interested, be sure to check that out. So, what is Flat Heroes? Flat Heroes is a content-rich 2D platformer where each level is contained within a box. To win each level, you must survive an increasingly large variety of enemies and obstacles. Sounds simple, right? That's because it is. Flat Heroes takes its simplicity in stride, delivering a straightforward but rich experience with every level. So, what's the gameplay like? Platforming is precise and enjoyable. If you jump again midair, you dash in the direction you were inputting. If you press Y, at least on Switch, you emit a small shockwave that can destroy enemies or obstacles that it hits. The attack is rather short range, however, really hammering in the need for precision in the campaign levels. The game has 3 modes, each suited for both single-player and multiplayer. First, let's discuss the campaign. The campaign consists of both a normal mode and a heroes mode, with the heroes mode being locked off at first. In the normal mode, you're presented with 10 worlds, each with 15 levels. Every level can be played with up to 4 players, but given the current state of the world, I haven't been able to test out the local-only multiplayer with anyone. Each level presents enemies and/or obstacles to prevent you from proceeding. Avoid the waves of enemies and obstacles, and you win. Every world consists of 14 standard levels, which introduce new mechanics, obstacles, and enemies that help you prepare for the final level. The last level of each world is a boss fight, which can actually get pretty challenging. The boss of World 5, for instance, took me over 50 minutes to beat, and I haven't beaten the World 8 boss yet. Though, admittedly, I could just be pretty bad at the game. The Heroes campaign seems like hard mode of the regular campaign. As far as I can tell, it's the same levels of the normal campaign, but with the difficulty ramped up a bit, such as enemies and obstacles appearing faster or in more rapid succession. A huge positive for the campaign, in my opinion, is the speed of respawning. An absolute necessity for any challenging platformer is a quick chance to restart, and Flat Heroes fulfills that condition. The game also has a survival mode, where you simply survive as long as you can with friends against wave after wave of obstacles and enemies. I've personally not been able to get better than a minute and a half on the mixed level. There's also a daily challenge, which is fun to attempt even if I'm generally pretty bad at it. There are a few other stages, but they're a bit of a grind to unlock, and I've been prioritizing the campaign. I enjoy this mode, and I can definitely see it bringing me back to the game frequently after I complete the campaign. Flat Heroes also has a versus mode, where you play against your friends or AI in local multiplayer matches of up to 4 players. There are 4 types of matches: Zones, Battle, Runner, and Catch. Zones is King of the Hill style. A circle will pop up, and you have to occupy it for a certain amount of time. In the middle of the match, strange effects may take place, such as everyone's speed being increased or everyone being unable to attack. Battle has a more traditional style conflict. Players must defeat other players a certain number of times to win. Whoever does so first, wins. It's the most straightforward of the bunch. You just defeat players a certain number of times, and presto, you win. Runner almost feels like capture the flag. An object spawns in the middle of the map players compete over. If a player defeats the holder, that player gets the flag automatically. The player that holds onto it until their total time is reduced to 0 wins. This one feels especially fun because any player that doesn't have the flag gets a ranged attack in addition to their standard shockwave attack. It makes it a lot more interesting for players to get the flag, since once you defeat the holder, you get the flag no matter where you are on the map. Catch is essentially a race to the flag. The first player to reach the flag and destroy it with a shockwave gets their score reduced. The first person to have a score of 0 wins. It's fairly straightforward, but still enjoyable because you can't destroy other players in this mode, so you're constantly competing to platform in a different way than they are. Otherwise, you might stop each other and someone else will win. I had to play all the versus modes with AI, but even with the AI, I had a pretty great time. I'm excited to try out the local multiplayer with actual people once I can invite people over when the quarantine's lifted. In total, I think the versus mode is probably the standout mode for me. The campaign is interesting, but I think the versus mode just has the potential for a lot more fun. So, what's the catch? Everything I've said so far sounds pretty great, at least to me, so there has to be a catch, right? Well, barely. There are a few negatives I can think of. Two of those being that the soundtrack is kind of average, and the multiplayer is local only. The soundtrack is definitely not bad. In no way is it bad. I'd even say it's enjoyable. I just don't find it particularly memorable. It's definitely not bad in any way. It just doesn't stand out. For a $9.99 indie game, I don't really expect the multiplayer to be online. But I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a little disappointing to have to wait a while to actually play with other people. It'd be nice to be able to link up with my friends and play the modes now. Something worth noting is some slightly odd performance on the Nintendo Switch. While it is totally stable 99% of the time, there's 1% of the time, or probably less, where the game momentarily freezes and then picks back up. I haven't really been able to figure out why this happens, but it's infrequent enough that it's only caused me to die once so far, and I'm not really sure if it's a problem on other platforms. If it is, I can't imagine it's any more common than it is on Switch, because I know if it's a Switch, it is a bit weaker than other consoles. So, what's the conclusion here? I highly recommend Flap Heroes to anyone looking for a challenging 2D platformer or an enjoyable local multiplayer game. At $9.99, the game has great value with a sheer variety of content. At the time of uploading this, the game is only $1.99 on the eShop, and only $6.69 on Steam. I really don't think this game is as popular as it should be, given how great it is. If you have any questions about the game, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll answer as best I can. This has been Estu with Budget Games. See you later.